Welcome back to another console collector video.
Hey everybody, Console Collector here. Today we're going to take a look at controllers. Now everyone is familiar with the iconic NES controller. That's not what we're going to look at today. We're going to take a look at odd, quirky, weird controllers that you may or may not have ever seen. This does not include variants. For those that don't know what a variant is, it's basically a standard controller for a console, but with a special edition or a different color. So these are some variants. This is a blue PS4 controller. This is a Diahawks N64 controller. A pink PS3 controller. A gold C3PO Xbox 360 Star Wars controller. A Smash Bros. Ultimate Switch Pro controller. This Ocean Shadow Xbox One controller. And even some third-party controllers can be variants like this Xbox One Transparent Green Duke. Those are some examples of variants, and that's not what I want to focus on in this video. I want to also avoid focusing on odd controllers that most people may know about, such as the NES Zapper. Everyone pretty much knows about this. It's a light gun. Things like the Super Scope, the Sega Menacer, and even the wireless controllers like the U-Force for the NES and the Sega Activator. I want to avoid controllers like that because everybody knows about those. And for odd shaped controllers and stuff like that, obviously the Wii had some pretty odd controllers, as well as the PlayStation Move controllers, so we're going to avoid stuff like that. Alright, so let's get into some weird and quirky controllers. Be sure to stay tuned to the end because I got some real doozies to show you guys at the end. We're going to start off with one kind of odd controller here, which is the NES Max. They basically tried to make a joystick back in the day. Pretty unique design and very unique joystick style for the time. That's the NES Max. This here is the Hori official GameCube controller. It was basically made for the Game Boy player, for the GameCube. It's modeled very closely after a Super Nintendo controller. Not really odd shaped, but it's one that not a lot of people know about. Let's take a look at some oddball console controllers, which aren't too odd shaped themselves, but they're very unique. This is the TurboGrafx 16. Also, the Turbo Duo controller was very similar. This is the Turbo Pad. One controller not a lot of people may know about is the Sega Saturn Moon controller. Basically, I feel like this paved the way for the Dreamcast. It feels similar to a Dreamcast controller. The rocket style and the trigger buttons on the back. That's the Sega Saturn Circle or Moon controller with this very unique spin pad. This controller here is the Panasonic 3DO controller. Pretty generic, but the thing that makes it unique is for multiplayer, you actually had to daisy chain the controllers together. So second player controller would actually go into your controller. They also featured its own personal headphone jack on the controller, which was way ahead of its time. This one here is the Philips CDI controller. This is one of many CDI controllers. This is the most basic standard controller for the CDI. This one here is another CDI controller. It's more or less like a TV remote, but you could actually play games with it, and it sucks. But it is a CDI controller. This here is the infamous Atari Jaguar controller. Big, bulky, lots of buttons. Very unique controller. Here's an old school controller. This is a Coleco Gemini controller. Basically, it had the little wheel on it, as well as the joystick. Because Atari 2600 controllers had the separate paddle controller with the wheel and then the joystick. This is a 2-in-1. Pretty cool and unique for the time. This one here is probably one of the most unique oddball console controllers. This is the Amiga CD32 controller. To me, it looks like a boomerang. You throw this thing and it'd come back to you. Surprisingly, it's not that horrible. It feels like semi-comfortable. Some shoulder buttons there. Definitely a unique shape. This D-pad is terrible though. So you can see it's like out of alignment. It's, yeah, not a very good button. I remember when I was playing The Town with No Name, I had problems getting it to go to the menu. So, Amiga CD32. Now, we're moving on to some pretty unique controllers. This guy here, this is an official PlayStation 2 wireless controller. Much like what the Wavebird did, I guess. But it came after the Wavebird. Not many people know that there was a official PlayStation 2 wireless controller. This is it. It did need a receiver, just like the Wavebird did. Some more modern odd controllers, are these Poketekken controllers for the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. No joysticks, just like fight pads, essentially. So you can see what they look like there. These are sealed, or else I would have opened them up for you guys. This thing, technically, I guess it wouldn't be considered a controller, but I wanted to just make mention of it. This is the Starlink for Switch controller adapter. Basically, you slide your Joy-Cons on this base, but playing like this definitely makes this an odd controller because you got a ship on top. So, yeah, pretty unique. This guy here, I didn't want to cover many fight sticks, but this one particularly was pretty cool. It's a Soul Calibur 2 limited edition fight stick. Odd shaped box. There's so many fight sticks out there, so again, I didn't want to load this video up with a bunch of fight sticks, but this is one of my favorite fight sticks. Very cool. We can't have a controller video without talking about the Power Glove. As you can see the box there beside ET. I know everyone knows about this one now, but I just had to mention the Power Glove because it's so infamous for being terrible and way ahead of its time. But it was a controller. Essentially, you'd put the glove on, program it with these buttons, and you could bend your fingers to do different moves and jumps. It's crazy. It does work, it just doesn't work well. But that's the Power Glove. Got some kind of odd-shaped tablet-style controllers, which were all the craze back then. This is the Wii U, or the Wii U Draw, I suppose, tablet. Put your Wii Mote in there and draw on there. So pretty similar, I guess, to the actual Wii U tablet itself. So yeah, the craze of tablet controllers. Got a couple of NES odd controllers to talk about here. This here, it's a little big for the screenshot. This is the Konami Laser Scope. Basically, it's a headset piece. You strap it on your head, as you can see here with the kid, and you yell into it its commands to play the game. Check out the Angry Video Game Nerds video on NES accessories if you want to watch something really funny about this thing. Essentially, you're sitting in the room yelling, fire, 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 fire. Yeah, I've tried this thing out. It's a pain to take out of the box. That's why I didn't take it out. Because mine's all complete with styrofoam. But yeah, it's a really quirky, odd controller. Just showing some of the stuff here. Yeah, you would be styling in this thing. And one here that you can't really see in the screenshot there, but that's the Rollin' Rocker. Again, the Angry Video Game Nerd covered that in his NES video, accessories video. Basically, you stand on that thing and rock around. It's a really large item, so I couldn't really get it out of the box for you guys. But yeah, the Rollin' Rocker. That's an insanely stupid controller. Alright, let's jump forward here. This controller is definitely odd, but probably known by most people. It's the Donkey Konga and Jungle Beat drums. Yep, it's a drum set. That's a controller. It's basically similar to like Guitar Hero and Rock Band instruments before their time. Is you'd hit these to do different notes. I wanted to cover the drums in lieu of the Rock Band instruments, just because the drums kind of did it first, and they're easier to fit in the screen. That's the Donkey Kong Bongo controller. Okay, now we're getting into some pretty weird controllers. So, thanks for sticking it out this far. I want to talk about the GameCube keyboard controller. That's right. You could type out your messages to your friends on Phantasy Star Online while playing a video game or playing with like the keyboard. It's such a really dumb controller, but surprisingly it works. I played Smash with this thing. It's doable. It's essentially like holding the Wii U pad, I guess, when trying to play. Your hands so far apart, except this is a bit longer. There is two versions of this controller. There's a black back and this indigo back. This controller was only released in Japan, so if you look carefully, you can see it's got Japanese text on it as well. Very cool controller, but not practical at all. That's the GameCube keyboard controller. Now we have official Nintendo GameCube Mega Man X controller, which is upside down. There we go. This was sealed when I got it as a gift, but I had to open it just because I wanted to see this awesome artwork on it. It's basically a mini version of the GameCube controller. Officially licensed by Nintendo. From Capcom. Very, very cool controller. Very unique. Before we move away from GameCube, I've got a really interesting third-party GameCube controller to take a look at. Now, I normally don't collect third-party controllers, but this was the exception just because I like GameCube so much. First of all, it's got a ton of wires with it, but this is the Hip Gear GameCube controller with a built-in screen. That's right, you could literally play GameCube games just like this. I've tried it out. It's not bad for certain games, but anything with text, get out of here. You cannot read it. You're like trying to look way up in there. What's needed, it has a volume control, and you can do the color, brightness, and contrast. Surprisingly, it's not a terrible screen. I actually think it's better than those Interac portable screens they made for the GameCube. To my knowledge, I believe there's also a PlayStation 2 version of this with a PlayStation 2 Hip Gear controller with the built-in screen, as well as an original Xbox. These are pretty rare, so if you see one, I would suggest picking it up. It's a real cool conversation piece. Alright, next up, this big beast. What is this, a bike? Is that what you think? This is the Yamaha PS2 controller. What's cool about this is the headlights actually light up when it's plugged in. And it's essentially a bike controller. You got your working brakes here. You got your thumb buttons here and there. You got a start button here. And the really cool part is to steer, it actually turns like this, like a bike. This is a super unique controller. There you can see headlights on or off. My friend found this in the thrift store and was like, hey, do you want this? I'm like, absolutely. I really like weird controllers. So yeah, I think this was made to be compatible with games like ATV Off-Road Fury and such. Very unique controller. I've never seen another one of these. It's definitely a large controller. It does have these little sticky pads here so it can stick to the table for easier play. Yeah, that's the Yamaha PS2 controller. Now we've only got a couple left here. So we're getting to the real weird ones. This here. This is the Wu-Tang PS1 controller. As you can see, it's shaped with the Wu-Tang logo. Very, very strange controller. I can't even... Well, I guess it does stand up a little bit. I had problems earlier, but yeah. I'm very excited to get this. I've always wanted one, just being how unique it is. It is fairly rare, so I was happy to get this recently. It does feel a little bit on the cheap side to me, but it does work. Yeah, that's the Wu-Tang controller. Second last controller. Save the best for last. This here is the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller. Now this was sealed. I opened it up for a video about a year ago. So let's take it out. I've never played with it, so I can't tell you what it's like. One thing I want to show inside here is it's got this really cool base. And like the artwork in the box there is from Resident Evil 4. You guys recognize that guy there? It's got the little windows inside there. Very, very cool box. You'd be crazy not to keep this box. Put that aside. And here's the controller. Basically hold it like this. So here's your thumbstick, your C stick, your A, B, X, Y start, and then your D-pad. And then you got your R button here, your Z button here, and where's that? Oh, there's the L button. So yeah, you basically hold it like this. Pretty cool controller. It is not wireless. It does have a connecting plug seen here at the bottom. There is a PlayStation 2 version of this as well. I believe it's red. But me being Mr. GameCube, I really wanted this controller. See all the blood splatter. Very, very cool controller. Alright. I was mistaken. There's actually two controllers now. I forgot about Rob just chilling out here on the side. Rob technically I guess would be a controller because he acts as a second controller. It's kind of a fine line, but I wanted to mention Rob. This is the Gyromite version of Rob. He picks up the gyro and basically plays the game with you. Again, most people know about Rob now because of Smash Bros. Robotic operating buddy. But I had to give a shout out to Rob here. Now we're at the last controller. And this controller is sealed. I've never opened it. I wanted to do kind of a bonus unboxing of this controller at the end of the video. Very unique controller that I've always wanted to get. That is the Dragon Quest Slime controller. This one is for PS4. They did make a PS2 version, which the PS2 version is the one I wanted to get, but someone offered this up in a good trade for the PS4, so I jumped on it. So let's actually crack this open here. See if I can figure out how to do that. Slice this here. This packaging is very plasticky. Oh, little piece of tape here. Is that tape? Oh, nope. I'm just a noob. Wow, here we go. Cool little grass background there. Remove the box. And here's slime. Wow. He's got like a matte finish. Very soft. Wow. First time ever holding one. He's, yeah, very matte finished and rubbery eyes, rubbery mouth. So it looks like this is the way you hold it. Got your L and R buttons here, it looks like. Charging port. There's your pad, D-pad, thumbsticks. Those are not buttons. Share options. And your triangle, square, circle, and X. Wow, this is a really weird controller. I don't know how I like about these sitting on the joysticks, but crazy controller. I don't think I could play many games with this thing, but cool nonetheless. All right, that's it. That's some really weird, quirky, unique controllers. What were some of your favorite controllers you've seen, or was there any weird, quirky controllers that you liked that I didn't show? You know, please let everybody know in the comments. I'm always on the hunt for cool, awesome, rare, unique controllers.
Alright everybody, that's going to wrap up today's video. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Be sure to follow me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Console Collector, Instagram, _console_collector, Twitch, Console Collector, Twitter, Console Collector 1. Thanks again for watching. I am the Console Collector, and until the next video, happy gaming.